From Ron Hosko. He's a former assistant director of the FBI. He now works with the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. Ron, thanks for being here.
Sure, good evening.
I want to play two sound bites from you from today and from the last testimony. First, this is the Senate Minority Leader being asked a question about whether they are going to move forward with an FBI replacement.
Senator Mark Warner,
yes.
He's the top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee. He wants the Democratic Party to refuse to vote on the nomination of a new FBI director until a special prosecutor is appointed. Do you support that move?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of Democrats who feel that way. We'll have to discuss it as a caucus, but I would support that move because who the FBI director is related to who the special prosecutor is.
And then this is acting FBI Director McCabe answering questions on Capitol Hill last week.
You have the resources you need for the Russia investigation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We believe it's adequately resourced.
So there's not the actions about Jim Comey and his release has not curtailed the investigation from the FBI. It's still moving forward.
The investigation will move forward, absolutely.
No agents have been removed that are the ongoing career folks that are doing the investigation.
No, sir.
Is it your impression at this point that the FBI is unable to complete the investigation in a fair and expeditious way because of the removal of Jim Comey?
It is my opinion and belief that the FBI will continue to pursue this investigation vigorously and completely.
So your thoughts listening to those two sound bites and juxtaposition there?
Well, first, as to Senator Schumer's comments, I did find myself agreeing with some of what he said in the last week. However, just assuming that the execution of Jim Comey's termination was completely botched from a communications perspective, it was, I thought, insulting to not just Jim Comey, but to the organization.
Take the rollout aside.
Right.
So now you have a president who's fired his FBI director.
That's right. I do think that Capitol Hill is Capitol Hill, and there is plenty of hypocrisy, and I think there's plenty of Democrats who are using the termination as a sledgehammer to beat the administration. And my hope is that somehow the Democrats can be satisfied with a nominee, with a candidate for this position, that they would get broad consensus into backing. Is that a John Cornyn? Is it a Mike Rogers who had an R behind their names? I have a doubt about that. My hope is not just a very broad and strong consensus, not 51 votes on the Hill, but 95 votes, because I think the country needs to embrace this next FBI director as well.
There's a number of names out there, and Catherine went over some of them. One of them that was not in that piece was Merrick Garland, who was up for Supreme Court nominee. Orrin Hatch, believe it or not, on the Republican senator from Utah on Judiciary, mentioned his name first to the White House, we're told, and then Mike Lee did, and now the Senate Majority Leader has. Is that a possibility?
I think anything is a possibility right now. I'm not sure what the strategy is. I'm not sure what the plan is. Some of these choices seem a little bit unconventional in my estimation. However, if you look at this list of known candidates, there is significant capability, intellect, independence in a number of these folks. And at the same time, with a number of them, I think, conservative principles. That the candidate could be within that, but it sounds as though that the Attorney General and the DAG are conducting these interviews.
And very quickly, are you surprised that this far into this investigation, for all that we've seen that has leaked out about everything, that we haven't had one leak about definite evidence connecting Russia to the Trump campaign in anything really?
As we have leaks of probably some accurate information, subpoenas going out, that can be validated and verified, and then you have, I think, leaks of information that are bogus. But if there was ever a time to leak information that damned the Trump administration, that did connect those dots, it would have been this week, and we haven't heard it. That being said, these investigations can be very complex, very long-lasting, particularly when you're talking about overseas connections and transactions, and will slow the progress, and we may not know. We may not know for several more months.
But still surprising that we haven't heard anything, if there was something.
Particularly this week.
All right. Ron, thank you.
My pleasure.